It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
Good morning, Eagles, and welcome to school on Tuesday, March 24th. Let's start off the day with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We want to wish a happy birthday to, and it's going to be long because of the weekend, March 19th, Daniel from Mrs. Mulaney's class, Ella from Mr. Dodge's class, Sincere from Miss Kirby, Claire from Mrs. Antonetti, Alexis from Mrs. Marsing, and Gabriel from Mrs. Crane. On March 20th, Sony from Mrs. Perry and Brian from Mrs. Van. March 22nd, Gentry from Mrs. Mott. March 23rd, Traden from Mrs. Christensen and Alexander E. from Mrs. Rogers' class. And then today, Emma from Mrs. Marsing's class and I knew I was going to mess one up. Alexi from Mrs. Olson's class. Now it's time for some learning.
Hello Eagles, it is I, Mr. Sorensen, coming to you with the science tidbit for today. And today I wanted to talk a little bit about earthquakes and the science behind earthquakes, simply because we had one. And they're not an uncommon occurrence here in Utah, although you probably don't remember one. But from the timetable of the Earth, they happen pretty frequently here. So we're going to talk a little bit about them. What causes earthquakes is movements in the crust of the Earth. So I have brought this delicious Kneaders banana bread here, and we're going to use it to represent the crust of the Earth. And what happens when we have an earthquake is we have a break in the crust of the Earth that we call a fault. And I'm gonna cut a fault in our crust here. It's gonna go at an angle. All right, now there's our fault line, and this is where two pieces of tectonic plate will meet, is at one of these faults. Now there are three types of faults that you're going to learn about today. The first type of fault is called a regular fault, and what happens in a regular fault is this part of the crust here, this piece and this piece are moving away from each other, but this one is sliding away from that one like that one. And as it slides away, it causes the Earth to rumble. That is called a normal fault. Okay, that's a normal fault. Now every once in a while you'll have one that's called a thrust fault, and that works almost the same way but in the opposite direction. So in a thrust fault, this plate rises up over the top of that fault like that. And as they move and slowly rub against each other, then we get earthquakes and movement of the Earth. Finally, the last kind of fault is called a slip strike fault. In the slip strike fault, there's no up or down movement. Instead, these move across each other side to side. So that's a slip strike fault. Now here in Utah yesterday, we have a very large fault called the Wasatch Fault, and our geologists think that it's a small portion of the Wasatch Fault that caused our little earthquake yesterday. The Wasatch Fault is a normal type of fault. So this over here represents the Wasatch Mountains, and this down here, we're in West Valley City, which is about right there. And what happens is that slowly this plate is falling away like that, is slowly slomping away. And so Magna and West Valley and these areas here are slowly sinking away from the Wasatch Mountains. And that's just a natural process, but it does cause some shaking. That could be scary from times, but things are less scary if we understand the science behind them. And the science behind earthquakes is not only fascinating, it is also delicious. So have a great day, Eagles. All right, Eagles, it's time for our PE activity for the day, and we are going to begin with warm-ups, and we'll do the same warm-ups that we did the other day. It's our standard warm-up here at Neil Armstrong Academy. We start with 20 jumping jacks. Lead us off there, Mrs. Draper. Here we go.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20.
All righty. Now we do our standing stretch with our arms overhead. Get our spine stretched out.
Feels good.
Stretching. Okay. Tricep stretch. That's this one.
Yes.
A little bit on the right.
Oh, yeah.
Switch over to the left. Excellent. Now it looks like we have our deltoid stretch. That's this one. A little bit on the right. Mrs. Draper is so much better than at this than I am. It's because she actually works out regularly. On to the left.
Feed him at least one thing, right?
There we go. Okay. Arm circles, forwards and backwards. We'll do 5. 1,
3,
4, 5, and now backwards. 1.
2, 3, 4.
Make sure you have room when you do this so you don't hit anything.
Oh, yeah.
All right, quadricep. Oh no, the trunk twist. There's your one way. I have to be careful when I'm doing this because I'm an old guy and I might break. Yeah, there we go.
All right, feels good.
Feeling good. Now the quadricep stretch. That's this. This way, I think. Yeah. Yeah.
I should come to you more often.
I think we skipped this one last time. Might have injured myself, not stretching properly. All right. Now we're going to do the V sit. Here we are. We'll go to the left a little bit. To the right a little bit. I can't touch, look at that. I can't. It's okay, Eagles. Just do the best you can. All right. That was that. Oh, butterfly stretch. So I'm going to bring the feet together. Stretch those knees down towards the ground.
Feels good.
Holding that, stretching out the muscles. And then finally, everybody's favorite, the plank position, which we're going to hold for the count of 10. That's on your elbows here, back in the air. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and one more. Stretching ourselves a little there. All right, we're all warmed up, ready to go. All right, Eagles, it is I, Mr. Sorensen, coming to you with our PE challenge for the day. As you all know, that we have very, very strict rules here at Armstrong for not running in the hallways because it is unsafe to do so at any time, except today. So today, we've got Mr. Robinson and Mrs. Lindenberg and Mrs. Draper and myself, and we are going to do a race. a good old-fashioned running race down in the hallway. We've got one marked out at 40 feet, and we've got one marked out at 80 feet. We'll go ahead and do both races. They're getting all ready down there. We'll go ahead and do both races, and then if you guys want to mark out 40 feet or 80 feet and run and send us your time, we'll see if you're faster than we are. Here we go. 3, 2, 1, go! We'll do that. For safety's sake, it's been determined that we'll run in heats of 2. So I will do the timing. Okay, it'll be Mrs. Draper and Mr. Robinson at 80 feet. I'm gonna get out of the way. On your mark, get set, go! Woo! Oh, total false start.
Hello, Armstrong Eagles. It's Miss Draper here with your reading activity of the day. I probably don't need to say that each time, huh? Today's activity is writing a story about someone in your family. Maybe you can find an old picture or a photograph in a scrapbook, someone you know or someone that you want to know more. Find out more about them, write a story about them, and share it with someone at your house. Call a grandma or grandpa, an uncle or an aunt, a cousin, a friend, and share the story about the picture that you find in your scrapbook or at your house.
Hello, Eagles. It is I, Mr. Sorensen, coming to you with a math challenge for the day. And this one's kind of a tricky one, and it has to do with something that's been in the news a lot lately. It is our humble friend, toilet paper. Everybody's kind of been going a little bit crazy over toilet paper over the last few days, and I happen to have some toilet paper in my house, and I thought, you know, that's an opportunity for a math challenge. So I went and had a look at my toilet paper in my house, and I looked at the packaging of my toilet paper, and I found some very interesting information. And what I found on the packaging was that on each roll of toilet paper, there are apparently 286 two-ply sheets. I don't know who's in charge of counting that. I'm really grateful that that information is there on the packaging so that I don't have to sit there and count them, because that's a long ways to count up. And it also told me the length of each square. It says that each square of toilet paper is 4 inches in length. And I thought that that was very interesting information and lended itself well to a math challenge. Because with these pieces of information, I can calculate the total length of a roll of toilet paper, which is something that I just really, really need to know. And so this is my challenge to you, Eagles. Please don't unravel any toilet paper at your house. It's a precious commodity right now, and I don't want your parents getting very upset with me. But I would challenge you to go and look at the packaging of the toilet paper in your home and see if you can find out how long a roll of toilet paper is using your mathematical skill. And then as an additional challenge, once you have that piece of information, I'd like you to see if you could calculate. You can get online and use your Google Maps to help you out with this. But see if you can calculate the distance between your home and Neil Armstrong Academy, and calculate how many rolls of toilet paper it would take to get from your house to school. I would be fascinated to know how many rolls of toilet paper that is. And if you want an additional challenge, maybe you could look up one of your favorite vacation destinations, perhaps Disneyland or Hawaii or the Bahamas, and calculate the total number of rolls of toilet paper it would take to get to that distance. I suspect that's a very large number. I'd be interested to see your answer, so if you want to email them to me, you're welcome to, but that's your math challenge for the day. How long is your toilet paper? Have a good day, Eagles. Hello, Eagles, and welcome to another edition of Crafting with Mr. Sorensen. Today, we will once again relieve our stress through the medium of painting. Today, we are going to paint fishes. This is an art technique that I learned in Taiwan, and what you're going to need to do is to go out into your neighborhood, and you're going to need to find some leaves on the ground. Now, this is not the easiest time of the year to find leaves, but if you look around, you'll be able to find some. Now, let's keep rolling. I went out into the neighborhood and I was able to find 3 very pretty leaves. I went out and I found this one. This is an oak leaf. And then I found an aspen leaf. And I found an elm leaf, I think that is. And so we're gonna use these leaves to make some fishes. Now, you can go out and get any leaves that make you happy. It doesn't matter. And if you don't have paint like I do, you can use crayons to trace your leaves. Just whatever you have to hand will work just fine. Now, I'm starting here with a plain piece of white paper, but as we all know, the ocean is not white, it is blue. So I've taken a blue crayon and I have peeled all of the paper off of it, and I'm going to use the side of the crayon and just rub it back and forth, just like that, to make a beautiful blue ocean for my happy little fish so they can swim around and be happy. And I'll make it just as dark as I want, just enough that it looks like water. And you just use the side of the crayon just like that. So there we are. Now, I rummaged through my supplies and I was able to find some paints, and I found some red paint and some green paint and some orange paint. I think we'll start with a little red fish. So I'm going to take and shake up my paint, and I've got my paint mixing board here, and I'll squeeze just a little bit of red there, and then I want a little bit of yellow to mix with that. Let me shake up my yellow. Good. Shake, shake, shake. And we'll squirt some of that out right there. It looks like ketchup and mustard. And then I've got some orange over here, and maybe we'll get a little bit of that. And again, you can use crayons or markers or anything you have. I'm going to take and I'm going to mix some of my red paint here with some of my yellow paint and some of my orange paint, and just make a blob of fancy colored, look at that beautiful color. And now that I've mixed my paint, I'm going to take my leaf, and I think I'll start with this little aspen leaf here. Now, if you look on the back of the leaf, one side of the leaf has stronger vein patterns, and we want those patterns. So I'm going to take my leaf and just gently dip it in my paint and squish it around to make sure the paint gets all over the whole leaf. You see how nice that covered up. And now I'm going to carefully take my leaf over to my ocean, and I will just very carefully place it and use my finger to dab all the way around and mush that paint onto the canvas. And then I'll carefully peel it away. Look at that. Let's try a little bit more yellow maybe for my next fish. I'll just take a little bit more of my yellow paint, lighten up that color just a little bit. He needs a little fishy friend. Can't just have one fish in the ocean. There are many fish in the ocean. I'll use this little leaf next. And push him in. Around. Good coat of paint on my leaf here. Be careful you don't make too much of a mess or your parents will be upset. Alright, here we go. I think this fish needs to be talking to this fish. Dab him down here. Yes, perfect. Let's do one more, and I think we want mostly red for the last fish here. So I'm just going to mix up my red paint, mush that out nice and thin, and then let's take my big ugly oak leaf. And I'm just going to use the first part of my oak leaf here. I'm going to use the whole leaf, just the first part. I think we'll make him like a little angel fish. Let's see. Oops, I need a little more paint. That's better. That's much better. And he'll go right down here in the little ocean. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're saying these don't look very much like fish, Mr. Sorensen. We're going to take care of that right now. Clean some of this paint off my hands. And then I'm just going to take a little paintbrush and some of my leftover paint from my palette here, and I'm going to clean up my fish. Now, you watch this. I'm going to fill in these empty spaces, and then watch. See? My fish needs some fins. I'll just pull some fins out. Look at that. And then he needs some fins coming out the back of him, because fish have little fins. Look at that. There's our fish. We'll do the same thing to this little fish over here. I need some more orange on my brush. And maybe he gets a little fin right there. And another little fin right there. A little fin here. Maybe one coming out his back. Look at that. There's my fish. And then my last little fish up here, he's going to take a lot of cleaning up. Look how messy he is. But we'll clean him up just a little bit. And he'll be a pretty angel fish. He needs angel fish fins. Look at that. There's his fins. Look at how pretty he is in the ocean. Now maybe my fish wants some seaweed to swim around in. So I'm going to get some green. Just a good blob of green. And these are really easy. I'm just going to dip my brush in this green paint and just make some lines. Oh yeah, just happy little seaweeds swaying in the ocean. And you could put as many leaves, as many seaweeds as make you happy. Maybe there's a big weed right over here about my fish. Big old happy weed and a little friend. There's my seaweeds. Make as many seaweeds as you like. And then I'm going to take one last little brush here with my green paint while I've got it out, and I think my fish will look better if they've got some little eyeballs. So I'm just going to carefully put it. And you can put smiley faces on your fish. Whatever makes you happy. There you go. There's my little fish, and I'll sign my name right down here at the bottom. Now that is a done piece of art. There's our fish painting for the day. I hope you've enjoyed our time together as much as I have. Good luck, Eagles, and happy painting. I'll see you next time.
That's it for us. Thanks for watching. This is ABC News.
Ready? On your mark. Get set.